He was seized and dragged out of the temple by an angry mob. A lot of angry mobs during these times. And now. I don't think that's a coincidence. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and it's eclipse time 2024, the first set of them. We have just entered the spring equinox here as I'm doing this video, and I just wanted to give a message out to people in all reaches of the universe. As we're all strapping on to a devil comet, a total solar eclipse conjunct Chiron, these are going to be times that we'll remember for the rest of our lives. And I want to remind people that even with Jupiter and Uranus that are about to conjunct in Taurus, although if you look at the helio, they've already made their conjunction. With Pluto and Aquarius too, there's so much that is unknown and that's going to come out of left field in life. It's about enjoying it. I know that this has been the biggest mind fuck of all time living through the last 4 years. I mean, you can relate it with feeling like you've definitely jumped timelines. But whatever timeline that you've been on and that you're on now, there's always a common denominator with divinity. That you can still enjoy life. That you can still have your consciousness be found. But usually, of course, that's through deep unconscious layers that we have to go through in life on our journey. Hence, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces that will not meet there with all this Pisces that's happening. We have to remember every big transit that's happening is connected to historical events that are all slamming into each other. No wonder they're playing with colliders and smashing particles together, because that's what the astrology is doing in many ways. Have an open mind. Remember that during this time that we're all going through, we're all at the end of the day, because Pluto is in Aquarius, even though it's coming back into Capricorn by the, through this election. But remember that even with Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto, and Aquarius, we're all going to have to find a way to find common ground, to find a common denominator. This is going to become where it feels like things are going to slip more than we felt. Remember, 2020 was all about that Capricorn coming into Aquarius. Well, that's what Pluto's been doing in 2023 into 2024. So with all this Pisces energy and with Saturn and Neptune, which remember, they do not meet in Pisces. They're going to meet at 0 Aries. There's new starts in the years ahead, but we're going to have to go through the sloppiest stuff before. You can use the word chaotic, although I'm not really a big word on chaotic. I don't think life is as chaotic as maybe we all perceive. I truly believe that maybe this is just coming from me, and April's a big month for me every year, especially it was all the way back in 2012. I started my daily horoscope, which I still continue on High Vibe TV every day. And so that's 12 years of doing a daily video horoscope. That's not even including all the weekly shows and so forth, and all the other shows here at the studios, or on tour, or lectures, or whatever. But I just found a video on my first YouTube that I started in 2006 of me in 2009, so it's going to be 15 years ago. It was April 6, 2009. I just made it public. I put it private because I was embarrassed at the time, because I was so broke and so poor that I couldn't even afford DJ equipment, so I had to figure it out. I had to use Ableton Live and an old Stanton 3-channel analog mixer. And, you know, at that time in 2009, like, you know, it was kind of like the one thing that I don't like as a DJ is a laptop DJ. And I started as a laptop DJ because I couldn't afford the equipment. But I saw that video. I just found this just last night, that it was private. I had never logged into my 2006 YouTube for like 10, or actually it was 2010 was the last time. So 14 years ago. And I put that video private and I'm like, you know, I remember it feeling like chaos then, like, oh my gosh, I'm on unemployment. I have these dreams about being an astrologer. And I was doing astrology. I was doing readings. I was on Soul Garden with Chris Witecki as the Leo ambassador. But I remember it feeling so chaotic, being like, I have to like find, how is this all going to become possible? And I want to share this with you all because I feel like people are feeling that way. Like, how are we going to get through the world? How are we going to get through whatever you might be going through personally in your life? And the North Node in Aries with Chiron is really a beautiful transit. I know there's a lot of negative talk about it. I was born with the North Node Chiron conjunct. Believe it or not, here on my YouTube, you can look up the Leo King Chiron story. I don't do many stories about the astrology and how it's affected my life on YouTube. And that's the one that I've done the most or talked about the most. I was born with North Node and Chiron conjunct. So being in this as the transit that we're all going through mundane-wise, I can tell you that it always feels weird when you transition into what you feel guided to be. And that, in my view, it's not going to feel normal. It's not going to feel easy. It's going to feel like you are weird. It's going to feel like it doesn't look perfect. But that's how you get to where you want to go. And then when you actually get there, I don't think people talk about the benefit side of Chiron. It's like a huge relief. And almost like I can't believe it happened. And I know a lot of people in life shoot for that, right? Like, people want to shoot for that. I can't believe this dream happened, or I can't believe this awesome shit happened in my life. And I'm here to remind you, this is a I was going to say a portal, but it's like a multi-dimensional portal that's had so many doors through all these big transits for the last 4 years. And they continue. Like I said, the next couple of years are going to be sloppy. But it's through the sloppiness, it was me during a recession on unemployment that I found who you know today, that you've seen on TV or you've seen on YouTube or you've seen on social media for so long. This is my 15-year anniversary of going for this life and living it full time. And it's going to be okay. If anything, this is the time to deprogram yourself from the life you know is not true to who you are. And I think the relationship that we have with ourselves, with the South Node in Libra, the lunar eclipse coming in Libra, is really what this is about. Because you can put relationships with people in that category, but we choose our relationships based off who we are, right? So if we think somebody's going to make us feel better in our life, or we fall in love with somebody, it's usually from, well, the common traits that we have. So if you're programmed, and like I was at one time, and I was, working a job I hated, or at least in the industry, I liked the industry. I liked being in wakeboard boats. I liked being in boats. I was a parts manager. And we're in the same eclipses when I was in the peak of, I was 19, going on 20, because I'll be 40 in July. But I was completely like, I've done it. I've reached the top of what I've always wanted to do. I didn't even realize it when I got the job, but I was like loving my life. And then I kept doing it. And then I ended up in the car biz in 2008 when it crashed. And that's what put me on unemployment. Like, there was nowhere to work, lost my job. And that's the chaos that people are so afraid of, except that's the chaos that literally was like the greatest gift. We have to look for the greatest gifts right now. I just became a dad 7 months ago, and I was quite surprised because I always, before the idea of having a child in my life and being a father, the idea of being a father was like, no. If anybody knows me close too, I used to say, I'm never having a kid. But it's so weird because when the decision finally was made and Sophia and I decided to have a child, I didn't have fear. And through the whole pregnancy, I wasn't afraid. And then when she was born, I wasn't afraid. It was the opposite. It was so much love. It was the greatest gift God's ever given. Sophia and I look at each other and look at Aurora, and they're just so grateful. And beyond grateful. I can't even describe the laughs, the smiles, the warm heart feeling. It's beyond description. But I want to remind people to not be afraid here at this time. It's going to look sloppy. It's going to look like everything's falling apart. But the truth is, it's already been deteriorating for so long. So much of the world that we thought it was going to be, but that's what evolution is, right? Like, we have to remember that, like, the idea of how we see this plane of existence and, you know, getting in a car and going on the freeway and then going to work and checking the mail and all that's changing. And in life, it always changes, you know. I mean, it's, I don't know why, I guess Edgar Allan Poe's coming up because I have some of his old books. I don't even read his stuff, especially after his chart and know his historical fucking story. I'm like, yeah, not my kind of guy. But, you know, if you were in his time, I mean, it would have felt like, gosh, somebody needs to make better candles for the hallways here so I can drink and fucking walk down the hallway and make sure that there's enough candle that light so I don't piss myself again or something. That life's over, right? Nobody's worried about that with candles. I mean, it might be a stupid example, but I think what I see the most hang-ups, being a mundane astrologer that I am, but I also do personal readings and do all the daily horoscopes and do all this kind of stuff. But as a mundane astrologer, I see as an evolutionary one, like, yo, this astrology on the grand scale is a huge moment of evolution. And I think if you start to take a step back for a second and look at the plane of existence of how we always want and have been programmed for life to look and be, there's no going back. We can never go backwards, right? We have to move forwards. And this is the transits that are going to begin that process, while at the same time facing the subconscious collective and unconscious collective baggage that's been held down, the prison that we put our own collective through. And courage is not something you have to feel like you just took a bunch of testosterone and went to the gym to get. Courage is identifying what's just going on in your life, identifying, you know, who you are, and doing the best that you can to exalt your soul, express your soul in its true form by being who you really are. And so the relationships we choose are the ones that truly support us or not support us on who we really are. And everything with the relationship you have to, let's say, the media, the news, your pet, your friends, your job, all of it is really all about whether or not deep inside of yourself, like, you are truly being who you are. And that's all you have to focus through. It's going to be sloppy because there's parts of ourselves that can adapt and change. And that's going to be part of this game. But a lot of it's going to be, did you abandon your own soul? And how do you make it through this? Well, you don't abandon it again, and you have to go through your own spiritual trauma maybe, and remember that it was in the past that you abandoned your soul, and it's about reconnecting with your soul and having that soul reconnect with spirit and with God. And if you're in that space already, don't get too cocky, because there's always going to be things that are going to be sloppy and fall off the existence and not work out, or bring a bunch of things to make you want to quit, or just say screw it and just let go of everything. And you got to keep that connection strong, and you got to keep that will to live. Really, Aries is about will. It's not about free will. It's about the will to continue. And that's where we're at as a human race. That's where we're at as an individual. And it's also about being, to me, Aries is about the hero that is willing to also share that will with others. When you see others down, offer that will that you have extra to give to others. And if they don't accept it, that's okay. You don't have to convince somebody to accept your extra, willpower to help them see how amazing they are when they're talking down on themselves or whatever. It's about acceptance in all forms at the same time too, which is really weird, because this is not about a charge forward. It's about accepting what is and finding the will to continue through, making it through the slop without realizing it's not about cleanup as much as it's about, purging where are the disconnects in your soul, your true authentic self. And it's sensitive out there. For everyone, it's different though. Some people are more hermetic and built for these times, and some people are very sensitive. But it's the ones that are not as sensitive that we need the sensitive people. You know why? Because that's where we can feel that love energy. And then the sensitive ones need the others that aren't as sensitive, so that they don't get stuck, on a couch with the covers on all the time. I think that we have to start looking at each other from who we are as souls, not what we're defined as a very freaky and weird society programming situation going on from the media, and all media, that includes social media, it doesn't matter where, of what we're expecting life to look like and be. Of course, I'm not the astrologer that many look to for, well, I am for many people, but as far as the whole community, some people don't take me serious because I'm a comedian, or they think I'm too brash. I've, of course, said things, and I don't know, I'm me. So, is this an apology tour? No. This is just a reminder that, hey, I hope you know, and I'm also going to ask you at the same time, I hope you are, I can say that I'm a light worker and I still show up to be one. And that's what's going to matter most, are you. And what makes the little quirks about all of us individually so unique is what's the best part. Do you really want me to change? Because I'm loving my life. Most people aren't in my life, and most people that actually know my astrology and how it's continued and how it's evolved is because I did it all on high vibe. I understand that some people might be upset about that, but as this 12th year anniversary of doing a horoscope every day comes up for me, it's like, imagine doing that to a point to where you know the value in it. And I'm not going to do some sort of speech right now on what everybody else should do. But I will say with Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, people need to find their value and not be afraid to own that value. And I'm so grateful for those that have been there for me and seen the value in me, whether it was just certain years or Whether it was me on the lake or it was on the green screen or here at the High Vibe Studios or at my first studio or in my Hollywood apartment, it doesn't matter, wherever. I appreciate you, and you've helped me get to where I have been able to build the first TV astrology network for so long. This is gonna be the 7th year that I've been here at these studios. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm keeping these studios. The lease ends finally. Commercial leases suck, by the way. Had to learn that one the hard way. And at the end of this year. And if I move on from this, I'm okay. I'm not going to look at it like being a failure. Right now, we all got put in every position that we chose prior to coming down here. And so maybe sit back and enjoy life a little bit more. Even when it's chaotic, and trust me, I'm right there with you when it comes to stress. For me, though, it's been this whole new thing about being, a father and being a husband to a new family, right? Like building a family and doing this work. And, I spent most of, I'd say all of the time building these businesses. Not focused too much on my personal life as much. I mean, I have had periods where I have, but building a full family and being a dad has been a whole new experience for me. But it's also made me realize that the only way that High Vibe's going to continue on and evolve is I got to be putting stuff back out where I started. And I'm a super fixed sign, I'm sure you all know, as a Leo sun, Leo rising, moon in Taurus, and tons of other just fixed placements in there. You can see my chart on an Astro data bank. So, it'd be nice if it just went that way, but I have a lot to share. And I'm turning this channel, after 12 years, into more of these kind of talks, and to be the astrologer that's here to talk. I am a North Node in Gemini. And maybe you got something from this message, maybe you didn't. But just know, it was a message to remind you, you're gonna not just make it through this. You're gonna be more ecstatic on the other side of these next couple years and see the miracles that the universe, God, performs than ever. So think big, think wide, and live your authentic truth, not just to say that you do, but to be a light worker and actually inspire others. The greatest thing that you can do as an astrologer or a tarot reader or somebody in the spiritual world, or just anybody that's a human being in this life, is to inspire others to live a better life. And a lot of us that are light workers, we do this because not the inspiration first. We have to love what we do first. We have to love it so much that we couldn't imagine anything else, and that we find our soul in it. We find our soul purpose that just bleeds through every part. I am 0 Leo, so I'm not going to get all my Samian symbol right now. But I'm sure people that are good at astrology know what I'm talking about. But the blood that rushes down the head of the 0 Leo, 1 Leo. But we do it for that. We do it for the passion. And then you don't do it for the inspiration. The inspiration only comes from you doing it and actually it really being an impactful thing for yourself, and actually blowing your own mind away and blowing your own expectations of how life should look away in yourself. and deprogramming your own negative thought patterns and subconscious holdbacks and programming, from religions to your family to all these kind of things, to find who you truly are. And it's all colliding at the same time. But don't freak, because it could really be an amazing time for us if you're willing to enjoy the show together and love more and not be so afraid of everything, and be willing to listen to people instead of write them off right away. I think that's going to be the biggest part of this Libra eclipse, and also just where the astrology is going is, don't judge a book by its cover right away. Read the book, right? Really look deeper and see the soul. Then I'll end with what I've learned. I've learned many things through human design, but especially being a 5/1 pure manifesting generator with 7 channels. Being a 5 line, especially in the front, and being a left-angled being, I don't have anything on my left side of my, or, you know, I'm a left-angled being. I don't have anything on the right side of my chart. So my life isn't about what I'm choosing to do here. It's helping people find their life. But I can tell you, as somebody who's been extremely placed as the heretic of the astrology community for so long, even though the ideas for many things have come through this place, that I've had to let go of that harsh, I guess you could say, it's not even hurt, it's more just like kind of what the fuck, like really? And not really seeking to find answers of why, just realizing, you know what? My role as a 5/1 shows up, and I can fill up your cup until you'll find something that is projected upon you that, oh, look at, he said this, he's doing that, you know, whatever, till it's like, no, because 5/1s, we always get dropped off on the corner like, you didn't fulfill my needs enough. What the fuck? But I can say that I've learned a lot from that. And that I really don't hold a grudge. I know some people might think it. I don't. If anything, it's been nice to sit back and watch, well, one, watch all the predictions come true. But the other, seeing how many people really have been inspired to take astrology and make it, as Michael Erlewine told me in a podcast I was on his in 2018, if you look it up, he called me the comet that came into the astrology community. And I've gotten a lot of cool things from people who watch me, but that still is the comet or comet that makes the most sense to me. And the fact that he saw that always blew my mind. And I'm very grateful that I got to learn a lot from Michael, and I use a lot of his work, especially with helioastrology, and many other forms. But just go live your best life. And you're going to slip on some banana peels. So relax. Don't get so frustrated by it. Not everything's going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, it is perfect. And if you're too focused on how it should look, that's, to me, what South Node Libra's problem is the over-beautification of how something, a person, a situation should look. As an ex-used car salesman, look at everything as is. I appreciate you all very much. I'll see you all again. still figuring out what to do with this channel. Let me know in the comments below. I've been thinking about bringing Deep Love Tarot back. People really love that. Doing talks like this. Anyway, I'm thinking about you all always. I know how much, because I've been here for so long doing it, I know how many, hundreds of thousands of you are conscious seekers out there in this universe and inspiring and waking others up every day. So I'm always thinking about you all just as much as I hope that you're thinking about the rest of us doing the same. Much love. Happy astrological new year, and let's have fun with the big bangs that come right now. Adios. He was seized and dragged out of the temple by an angry mob. A lot of angry mobs during these times. And now. I don't think that's a coincidence.